Hello everyone, we are group 4 and here we will be discussing the genetic therapy or what we call the gene therapy. So here are the topics that we will be discussing. Number 1 is what is gene therapy and stem cells, and also what are cell jargons or what we call stem cell jargons. Next, what are the different types of stem cell? Number 4, what is in vitro fertilization and surrogacy, and also the examples of famous celebrity who undergo surrogacy. So first, I am here to discuss what is gene therapy or genetic therapy. By the way, I'm Mark Ivan Flores and I am here to discuss what is gene therapy and also what is stem cells. So first, what is gene therapy? It is a technique that utilizes genes to treat or prevent disease. It also involves inserting genes into a person's cells with the purpose of providing treatment for certain ailment. So, gene therapy, in short, is a technique that uses a gene to prevent, cure, or also treat a disease or any medical disorders. So that is the easiest way to explain to you what is gene therapy. So next is the approaches in gene therapy. So there are 3 approaches in gene therapy. Number 1 is an altered gene that causes disease is replaced with a healthy copy of the gene. So here, yung mga gene na may sakit, pinapalitan po natin ito ng healthy na gene. Para sa gene therapy is when a technique that treat, prevent, or cure a disease. So, kinakailangan natin ng healthy na gene para sa genetic therapy. So next, number 2, a mutated gene that functions improperly is inactivated or knocked out. So it means kapag may gene na improperly functioning, tinatanggal natin ito para to prevent disease, and also we will replace it with a healthy gene like in the number 1 para ma-prevent or treat natin yung sakit ito sa gene na tinanggal natin. So connected ito sa number 3 that a new gene is introduced into the body to help fight a disease. So dito, after natin matanggal yung gene, yung improperly functioning, nilalagyan natin ito ng bagong gene, which is ito na yung healthy gene na makakapag-treat, cure, or prevent sa mga disease or medical disorders po. So next is what is stem cells or what are the stem cells? So these are the cells of variable that has the capacity to self-renew, or what we call the stemness. So stem cells are unique compared to other cells of the body because they can both, number 1, self-renew or make copies of themselves. So stem cells are like they are dividing the quantities over a long period of time. So in the other term that it makes copies of themselves. So parang nagmo-multiply po sila in a long period of time. So yun po number 1. So number 2, differentiate to other types of cell, specialized cell or the specialized cells of the body. So that's the definition or the skills of stem cells. So next of stem cells, once a cell becomes specialized or differentiated, it plays a vital roles in the body such as blood cells, nerve cells, and muscle cells. So kapag daw yung mga stem cells natin are specialized na or differentiated na sa ibang cells, they have the vital roles, especially sa ating mga nerve cell, muscle cell, and also in our brain cells. So next, this makes stem cells very important since body needs stem cells to replace specialized cells that are damaged or get used up and even die. So dito, since ang mga stem cells are very important dahil na kailangan ng body natin to, especially sa mga cells natin na mga may damage or yung mga namatay na cells natin, ganun, pinapalitan nito ng mga bagong cells. So this is important dahil yung body natin is kinakailangan ng maraming cells. So next sa stem cell, number 1, self renewal. Dito yung discuss ko kanina, self-renewal, that they can make their copies themselves. They can make copies of themselves. Pero dito, sabi dito, stem cells cannot make copies of themselves. Their supply may quickly run out. So, it is why self-renewal is crucial. So, hindi siya nakakapag-create ng new copies sa bagong cell, or in short, hindi siya nakakapag gawa ng bagong copy ng kanyang sarili sa pinakamabilis na time, ganun. So pag-create ng bagong katawan ng cell is very over a long period of time para hindi siya mawalan agad ng supply. So it is a key for the body to preserve a pool of stem cells to use throughout life. So next is stem cell differentiation. So it is essential because specialized cells are used up, damaged, or die continually during our lifetime. Stem cells can give rise to specialized cells. So iba naman dito sa differentiation, just than the other one na it can self-renew. So sabi dito, these specialized cells cannot make copies of themselves, but can give replace in the body through stem cells to still carry out its functions. So dito, hindi sila gumagawa ng sarili nilang copy sa kanilang sariling cells. So here, nire-replace yung old na cell ng mga bagong cells. Kasi yung old na cells, they are damaged or died. So kailangan natin ng bagong cell na ma-introduce sa body natin, which is the healthy cells that can tinutulungan nito na ma-treat or cure our medical disorders. So yung mga old na cells can be knocked out na, wala na kasi damaged na sila. So this is the differentiation of a cell.
Hi! Before we go on to our next topic, let me introduce myself. I am Kirby Yvette Tipolido, and I will tackle about stem cell jargons. Stem cell jargons, basically, it is terminologies, or these are terminologies that are related to stem cells. That's basically it. So, for our first jargon, stem cell potency, or basically potency, based from our presentation, it refers to the number of possible fates that a cell could acquire. Basically, it tells the ability of a cell on how well it can differentiate into other cell types. For example, this cell differentiates into many cell types, which means it has greater potency, and vice versa. For example, this cell can only differentiate 2 or 3 stem cell types, which means it has less potency. So for our next jargon, totipotent cells, these are the most versatile stem cell type. They are capable of dividing and differentiating into every cell type in an organism, including embryonic tissues and placenta. Totipotent comes from the Latin word totus and potent. Totus means total, potent means power. which basically means total power into becoming any cell type. Fun fact, many plant cells are totipotent, meaning a single differentiated plant cell can regenerate an entire plant. So our next jargon is pluripotent cells. So these are cells that are much more limited than totipotent cells, which means it can form or generate almost any cell type, but not all, just almost. So pluripotent cells are usually defined as cells that can generate cells of lineages from all three germ layers: the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. In addition, the stem cell types that fall here are the embryonic stem cells and the induced pluripotent stem cells. We're gonna tackle them later. Our next jargon is multipotent cells. Unlike pluripotent cells, these cells are only capable of differentiating into a limited range of specialized cell types within a specific tissue or lineage. So these cells are commonly found in various adult tissues, including the bone marrow, adipose tissues, dental pulp, skin, and the brain. So for our last jargon, unipotent cells, these are specialized adult stem cells found in specific tissues that have the capacity to self-renew and differentiate into only one cell type, primarily for tissue regeneration and repair. So two examples of unipotent cells are myoblasts and sperm. So let's move on to our next topic, which is the stem cell types. So our first stem cell type is the embryonic stem cells, or ESCs. So what are ESCs? So these are obtained from blastocyst, which is a very early stage of embryo development. At this stage, the embryo is a ball of about 50 to 100 cells, and it is not yet in the womb. So these cells are pluripotent, meaning it can develop into almost any cell type in the human body. Now, let's talk about facts about ESCs. First one, ESCs are usually extracted from frozen embryos left over from in vitro fertilization. These embryos can be stored for 10 years or more. Next, once extracted, ESCs can be grown into ESC lines, which means collections of cells that can be maintained and studied in the lab. Third one, each ESC line has its own unique potency, meaning its ability to differentiate into different cell types varies. Now, let's move on to the disadvantages of ESCs. First one, they are difficult to culture and tend to grow slowly. Next, ESC can develop abnormal karyotypes and other genetic abnormalities over time. Next, if not carefully controlled, ESCs have the potential to form teratomas, which means tumors made of multiple tissue types, when transplanted. And finally, the use of ESC is ethically controversial since they are derived from early stage embryos. Let's move on to our next stem cells type, which is the adult stem cells, or ASCs, or which also known as somatic stem cells. So these cells are found throughout the body and play a vital role in repair and maintenance. Adult stem cells are naturally present in various tissues of the body, such as bone marrow, skin, and blood. They are also multipotent, meaning they can develop into several specialized cell types, but their range is more limited compared to embryonic stem cells. So, their main function is to replace and repair damaged cells in the tissues where they are found. Next, these are the key facts about ASCs. First, adult stem cells are less controversial ethically. since they can be obtained without harming embryos. Next, they are already used in medicines, for instance, in bone marrow transplants to treat leukemia and other blood disorders. Let's also talk about the limitations of adult stem cells. First, they are more restricted in the types of cells they can become compared to embryonic stem cells. Next, adult stem cells are often harder to isolate and may be present in very small numbers. Lastly, they generally have less capacity for long-term growth in the lab.
Hello everyone, I'm Gerard Austin, member of Group 4. Induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs, are special cells that scientists discovered in 2006. They found a way to take normal adult cells, like skin cells, and reprogram them so they act like stem cells. Stem cells are important because they can change into many different types of cells in the body. iPSCs are called pluripotent because they can become almost any kind of cell, just like embryonic stem cells. This discovery is very useful because it means scientists can create themselves without needing embryos. Researchers believe iPSCs can help treat diseases in the future such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's by replacing damaged cells with healthy ones. Next is umbilical cord stem cells. Umbilical cord stem cells are special cells that can be collected from the umbilical cord after a baby is born. These cells are important because they can grow into many different types of cells in the body, which makes them useful for treating certain diseases. Collecting them is safe, easy, and inexpensive, since the umbilical cord is normally discarded after birth. Donated cord blood that meets the requirements can be frozen and stored in a cord blood bank for more than 10 years, so it can be used later if needed. This makes umbilical cord stem cells a valuable resource for future medical treatments. Next topic is the in vitro fertilization, or IVF. IVF is a medical way to help couples have a baby when natural pregnancy is hard. Doctors collect eggs from the woman and sperm from the man, then join them in a lab to make embryos. The embryo is placed in the woman's uterus to grow into a baby. IVF is helpful because it can solve some problems, like low sperm count. A healthy sperm is chosen to fertilize the egg. Next is ovulation problems. Medicine helps the woman produce eggs. And advanced maternal age. Healthy embryos are selected to increase the chance of. Next is surrogacy. Surrogacy is when another woman carries a baby for someone who cannot carry a pregnancy themselves. This is usually chosen when pregnancy would be unsafe or impossible because of medical conditions. In surrogacy, the baby can come from the intended parent's egg and sperm, so the surrogate is only helping by carrying the pregnancy. Actually, there are two types of surrogacy, the traditional and gestational. In traditional surrogacy, the surrogate uses her own egg, so she is biologically related to the baby. The sperm usually comes from the intended father, and fertilization happens inside her body. In gestational surrogacy, the surrogate does not use her own egg. Instead, an embryo made from the intended parent's egg and sperm or donors is created through IVF and placed in her uterus. In this case, she only carries the baby but is not biologically related to it. Some people use surrogacy like these kinds of people to make their own family.
Good day everyone, I'm Angelina Duan. Today I will talk about some celebrities who choose surrogacy to build their families. Even though they have different reasons, surrogacy helped them experience becoming parents. Paris Hilton, Anderson Cooper, and Elton John with David Furnish all choose surrogacy for different personal reasons. Alamin natin, si Paris Hilton choose surrogacy because she has a strong fear of pregnancy and childbirth, kaya mas komportable siya na surrogate mother ang nagdala ng baby for her. Si Anderson Cooper naman wanted to become a father kahit wala siyang female partner. As a single gay man, surrogacy ang naging way niya para magkaroon ng sariling anak. While Elton John and David Furnish are a same-sex male couple, Since pareho silang lalaki, hindi sila pwedeng magbuntis, so they use surrogacy to have children. In short, they choose surrogacy because it was the safest or only possible way for them to build their own families.